All right, let's jump right into this. Welcome back to today's explainer. Today, we're taking a really fascinating look at the structural gradient of our modern world. We are completely shifting our focus away from this old idea of perfect prevention, and instead, we're diving deep into the capacity for recovery. We're going to look at exactly why the defining characteristic of our era isn't about preventing things from breaking anymore, it's actually all about our ability to put them back together.
And that brings us to a foundational question, one we literally have to ask ourselves right out of the gate. Are we building a future that can never break, or one that can always return? For decades now, our civilization has been relentlessly chasing this dream of systems that simply never fail. But let's be real, as our world gets infinitely more complex, perfect prevention is mathematically and practically impossible. The true vulnerability we're facing, it's not the disruption itself, it's what happens after the disruption.
All right, part one, the unbreakable myth. Let's talk about the efficiency civilization.
Just think about the absolutely undeniable success of what we can call the efficiency civilization. We became incredibly powerful by focusing hyper-intently on optimization and synchronization. We totally slashed costs by stripping away any and all friction. But there's a hidden cost here. To get that efficiency, we eliminated redundancy. We essentially stripped out all the shock absorbers. We built massive efficiency, sure, but we secretly traded away our core ability to bounce back when things inevitably go sideways.
And man, you can really see this friction everywhere today. If you zoom way out to the macro level, we're talking massive power grids, fragile global supply chains, wildly complex financial systems. And then you zoom all the way into individual human burnout, you're looking at the exact same pattern. Across all of these domains, the central problem has totally shifted. The real danger isn't the initial shock. It's not the system pausing. The real danger is that these systems have literally lost their structural ability to recover. It's this universal gradient we are all actively feeling right now.
Moving to section 2, the civilization gradient and the evolution of structure.
We can actually trace this progression super clearly. Back in the 20th century, the ultimate goal was an unbreakable structure, right? Building these incredibly thick walls so nothing could possibly get in. Then, by the early 21st century, the goal shifted to an unstoppable structure, pure momentum, continuous nonstop growth, a machine that literally never powers down. But today, right now, the demand is aggressively shifting to a returnable structure. We are collectively waking up to the fact that we desperately need systems that can actually reconnect and successfully restart after a disruption.
Which brings us to section 3, chronic depolarization and the real danger of pure efficiency.
Okay, so the absolutely crucial concept here is chronic depolarization. Now, I know that sounds super clinical, but it perfectly explains why modern fatigue isn't just you feeling tired. It's a literal structural danger. It defines the systemic state of being totally exhausted, completely worn out, but continually operating without any ability to just stop and recover. Think of it like a biological cell, or even a battery that has completely discharged its energy, but is somehow blocked from ever resetting its charge. When a system gets chronically depolarized like this, it's just too depleted to reset, and that makes even a super minor disruption completely catastrophic.
When we put these two paradigms side by side, the contrast is just wild. The old efficiency civilization was all about optimizing and synchronizing with one single goal: never break. But this emerging recovery civilization, it totally flips the script. It prioritizes the ability to recover, to reconnect, to be returnable. Stability isn't just measured by how fast you're growing anymore. It is increasingly measured by your recovery rate.
Let's get into section 4, care as infrastructure and civilization's recovery. I really want you to consider this powerful perspective shift. Care is not just compassion, it is civilization's recovery infrastructure. This completely elevates the concept of care from being just the soft, nice-to-have sentiment into a rigorous, hard, structural mechanism. It is absolutely essential for keeping any complex society actually running. And here's how that actually works under the hood. We call these the mechanisms of reconnectability. Things like healthcare, education, family systems, community support. Guys, these aren't just social services. Structurally speaking, these are the exact devices that allow a stressed-out civilization to hit the restart button. They are the literal mechanisms that allow burned-out, disconnected people to safely plug back into the main network. Without these robust mechanisms in place, the system simply cannot achieve that returnable state we were just talking about.
All right, Section 5, 3 future scenarios. Where do we go next?
If we objectively look at the variables, we're basically looking at 3 possible branches for our future. Branch A is the path of hyperefficiency. We just keep optimizing for the short term, which inevitably leads to a total inability to recover and just massive, widespread chronic depolarization. Then there's branch B. This is the shift to a true recovery civilization. We intentionally build local redundancy, we prioritize care, and we achieve this high fluidity stability, a system that bends, flexes, and returns easily. And finally, branch C, which is a bifurcation, basically a completely split society, where an upper layer stays hyper-efficient while a lower layer forms these isolated recovery communities. It's total societal separation. The point is, how we handle efficiency and redundancy right now is going to lead to vastly different outcomes for all of us.
Finally, Section 6, the next competition and shifting value metrics.
The future belongs not to the fastest nor the most unbreakable, but to the most returnable. For companies, for major institutions, for entire communities, and honestly, even for us as individuals, the defining metric of success is permanently shifting. The competitive edge isn't going to go to whoever can run the fastest without ever sleeping. No way. It's going to go to whoever can take a hit, safely power down, and successfully reconnect.
Which leaves us with this final, really important thought to chew on. If the stability of our entire world is increasingly measured by our recovery rate rather than our growth rate, what are we actually building toward? When we design our lives, our businesses, our cities, should we just keep optimizing purely for efficiency? Are we actually spending our core recovery capacity just to get there? Or should we be optimizing for the room for a second attempt? Think about that.